probably been a while. 3 Jace, 3 Liliana, Goyf, Snapcasters, Vendilion Click, all the usual suspects as far as spells go. Force of Will, Counterspell, Spell Pierce, Inquisition, Brainstorm, Preordain.
Darwin Castle, 6'4", tall guy. You might not know it by looking at him right there, but a tall guy. One of the first people to really show up on the Pro Tour and show people what was what.
Yeah. And looks like Ross won the roll, leads off with Trop. Darwin Castle counters with Island, Preordain. Now, Ross Merriam's deck also has a little bit of a landstill aspect. No actual standstill, but he does have 2 life from the loam to go with 2 Mishra's Factory, a Creeping Tar Pit, the Wastelands.
I was going to, when you said you had a landstill aspect, bristle and shake my fist at the deck list. I'm really glad to hear he does not have standstill.
Right, 0 standstill. That card used to be very, very good in Legacy. Now it's just
I like it in aggressive decks. If you're a aggro control deck, I like standstill. If you're not, there is a reason that Drew Levin and Jerry Thompson took it out of their controlling blue-white deck a while back, because it's just not good in control decks. Sorry, people that have liked it for years.
Yeah. So there's Darwin. You can see Trusty Batman shirt.
Is it Trusty Batman?
Oh, it's a Trusty Batman.
Okay.
Scalding Tarn, and he passes the turn.
This is the end of turn brainstorm, where the end of turn brainstorm is actually okay. There is a fetch land to make it work.
Yep. Ross will put 2 back and then presumably shuffle them away unless they're all very, very good. Both players are going to be pretty deliberate here because both know that 1 wrong brainstorm, 1 wrong ponder can easily spell death. In the blue-on-blue mirror, you cannot afford to squander even a single card manipulation spell.
One of the reasons that the library manipulation is so important for these decks is that oftentimes you're working with very tight mana, so having enough mana is very important, but then having too much mana just means that you're going to fall behind the powerful spells.
Right.
So balancing your spells with your mana is a huge part of what makes this format work. But then also, a lot of these decks have very narrow cards. Take a gander at most bug control lists, and you're going to see a ton of cards that are completely dead in certain matchups.
Right. Innocent Blood, Ghastly Demise, Diabolic Edict, Pernicious Deed, all of these are just not that strong against a lot of the decks in the field.
Goyf. One of 3 Goyfs in the main deck. 1 other Tarmogoyf in the sideboard.
Yep, that Tarmogoyf currently a 3/4. We have Instant, we have Sorcery, we have Land.
Ancient Tomb for Darwin Castle. He fetches. No Stifle in this bug list. This is not a Team America-style Tombstalker list. This is a more controlling, slow, no him to Turok style list. 3 Force of Will is going to be probably a real liability here. He wants 4 in a matchup where his opponent can just put down a Gristlebrand and then take over.
Right, and it's actually really surprising to me that Ross doesn't even have the 4th in his sideboard. He has actually very few anti-combo cards in this sideboard here. Mostly his sideboard cards are more to shore up creature decks and permanent-based decks.
Given the way that this deck looks, my prediction is that Darwin is going to 2-0 this in easy fashion.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Sneak attack.
There's a sneak. Ross,
Do you have a Spell Pierce? Do you have a Force of Will?
Ross,
Do you have a Daze?
Love to be able to spell Pierce.
No Dazes in Ross's build.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my
It
goodness.
resolves.
Boy.
Ross is in trouble. Assuming Darwin has one of his 4 Gristlebrands or 4 Emrakuls, Ross is not in good shape. He has Diabolic Edict to kill Emrakul, but nothing will stop the drawing power of Gristlebrand.
And here is where I think the game goes away for Ross. Darwin telling me that I believe 6 of the matches he played, he didn't feel like he was playing Magic. He felt like his opponent was just kind of sitting there, and he just was winning.
Right. And, that's the ever-present threat of these combo decks on Legacy. if the players don't respect the combo decks, they'll just walk all over them.
Activating the sneak attack. Griselbrand.
That's the one Ross does not want to see.
I predict we're going to see 7 life spent by Darwin right now.
Mm-hmm. I also predict we're going to see Ross entering the scoop phase very soon.
Edicts.
Oh, wow. Here's the one edict.
I don't think it even matters.
Probably not. Darwin should be able to find an Emrakul here. Or a Spell Pierce.
That's just fine.
Yep.
Let's see if 7 cards... He can only get 7 cards right now. God. If you played when Trix was around, you know what it feels like to have Force of Will and then a draw 7. Such an absurd feeling. Oh my god. The difference between Griselbrand and Jin-Gitaxias, Griselbrand gets to do it right away. Jin-Gitaxias waiting till the end of the turn, that really, really was a limiting factor.
Oh yeah, most certainly. So here they are. Here are his 7. It looks like they might be having a question for a judge here. Maybe just... Nope. Darwin was just looking at his 7, seeing what his options were.
I'm looking at Russ Merriam's sideboard, seeing what his options are.
Yep, there's the scoop phase for Ross Merriam. Let's see what he has.
I think he's going to bring in Vendilion Click, Thoughtseize, Flusterstorm, and he might, just because he's got a bunch of stuff that is not good, might bring in Maelstrom Pulse just to potentially break a sneak attack that gets into play without the extra red. And I also think he's going to bring in Tarmogoyf just because he's going to want to have another possibility for a clock.
Right, I definitely agree with all of that. He has so many cards he can take out. Ghastly Demise, Pernicious Deed, Innocent Blood. Even Life from the Loam is super unimpressive in this matchup. He just won't have the time he needs to leverage it. I mean, getting that Creeping Tar Pit, that doesn't do anything. As for Darwin, what's he have in his sideboard?
Darwin, he's got Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast just to start.
These are the first of the spells that are good against Ross.
And after that, I mean, I don't think that he needs to really do anything else in this matchup. No. He's already so well set up. One of the reasons he's so good, 3 Spell Pierce, 3 Misdirection, 4 Force of Will.
Right.
I mean, all he has to do is get a Griselbrand into play, and the game crumples for his controlling opponent.
Yeah, this deck plays a whopping 7 pitch spells, 7 pitch counters, which is just an amazing number. More than I've seen a Legacy deck play in
quite a while.
Years. Yeah. Now, Darwin might be bringing in Leyline of Sanctity here just because he's not sure how many discard spells Ross Merriam has. He might put him on more of like a bug deck with Hymn to Torok and the full set of Thoughtseize Inquisition and stuff like that.
That's certainly possible. I know Darwin is one of the people that he's liable, just in his play style, to do one of 2 things. Either be a little conservative or be really wild. And I don't think this is going to be a moment where he goes wild.
I don't see any reason to. I mean, he won game 1 in such easy fashion. He has to think that he's really favored against Ross's deck here.
I mean, I was playing Bug Control against Darwin when Darwin 5-0'd me. The only thing that I could see being bad with this for Darwin is if Darwin just is overconfident because of how badly he crushed me and then how badly he crushed Ross here game 1. It's possible he might, you know, be playful with the sideboard, but
he has no reason to be.
Yeah, well, Darwin is somebody that he gained a reputation on the Pro Tour for winning with strange plays and strange cards. So, I mean, I don't think that he'll do anything like that here, but he's got that kind of, you know, approach to the game.
Right. Now, let's just hope that his playing against you doesn't influence this, because I'm sure your deck list looked nothing like Ross Merriam's.
You know, actually, it had a lot in common.
Really?
It had a lot in common. The big difference is I had more control elements.
Right.
and
yeah. And he still 5-0'd you.
Yeah.
Wow. So Ross Merriam does not look like a happy man there. He knows he has to come back. He knows he has to win this match to top 8. Darwin needs a win and then a little bit of luck for his tiebreakers to improve.
The path here for Ross is simple. A Thoughtseize for a control element from Darwin, followed by a Tarmogoyf, and then holding back on Counterspell Force of Will and hoping that that works. Of course, that particular set of plays, very, very hard to actually acquire.
Right. It really needs a subpar draw from Darwin.
Well, if Ross gets that draw, he won't need the subpar draw from Darwin, but it will still require an incredible low chance for that whole confluence of cards to happen.
Right. Now, the Sneak and Show deck, if you're unfamiliar, it doesn't play a heck of a lot of lands. Darwin has 19 here plus 4 Lotus Petal. So he definitely has a ton of deck manipulation, very few land count, or a very small land count, so very easy for him to assemble his combo.
I'm going to have to say, sorry, Ross. I'm going to root for Darwin Castle here.
You know, I'm going to go with Ross Merriam. More of a hometown type of guy. He's from the Hartford area, pretty close to Worcester.
Cool.
Been top 8ing a lot of PTQs recently. Played in Pro Tour Barcelona, I want to say.
Oh, congratulations to Ross for that Pro Tour attendance and finish.
So fetching up Underground Sea.
Inquisition. It's a fair card here.
Part
Perhaps
one.
going to get rid of either a Spell Pierce, a Show and Tell. Those are some possibilities. Darwin reading the card. He's reading this because I'm willing to bet he has not seen this card before.
Probably not. Darwin used to probably know every single card legal in every single format. Nowadays, though, does not devote a heck of a lot of time to Magic.
This is true.
As he tries to decide what to do about that.
At the same time, he's still got a love for the game. You know, here we were in at Columbus for Origins, and he was running an Ascension tournament for Gary Games, and at the same time, he had a whole bunch of Magic cards, a Sharpie, and he was proxying up standard lists because he's got the fever again. He's not playing a ton, but I think this game gets in your blood, and it pretty much takes something really crazy for you to let go.
Oh, definitely. And right now, Darwin's walking away from the table with the judge. I'm pretty sure his question right now is, if I misdirect the Inquisition of Kozilek back to Ross, who chooses?
I actually think it's more that he is going to say, if I misdirect it, is he required to choose one?
That too, yeah.
And I believe the answer is he is required.
He is required, but Ross will get to choose
the
the
Inquisition.
Inquisition.
Ross will do the choosing.
Right. Darwin, not going to be familiar with this interaction because, like you mentioned earlier in the day, Duress says target opponent.
Yeah.
And now the judge asking to see the Inquisition.
Just making sure.
Yep. Takes about 5 seconds to read the card, but you can ruin an entire player's tournament if you get the wrong ruling.
And that has happened. Bad rulings are a part of the game in the same way that bugs can be a part of Magic Online at times.
Yeah.
Here we go, misdirection, and it's losing. I think a Force Wheel is being tossed aside, and Ross is like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna have to get rid of something."
Yep.
Let's see what you got.
And Ross will have to reveal his hand.
Is that a Brainstorm? I can't quite tell the way Ross has it laid out.
Yeah, let's zoom in on that there. I believe it's a Brainstorm, a Counterspell, Wasteland, Trop, Island.
Yeah. That's actually a really awesome misdirection then for Darwin Castle.
It is.
Wow.
Whichever card Ross takes, Darwin has to be happy about it.
Boy. Boy, that is just painful. 2 of Ross's best cards for this matchup.
Yep. He only has 2 counterspells in his deck. 3 Force, 2 Counter, 2 Spell Pierce. That's his counterspell suite.
And he tosses the counterspell. And why? That is a lot of land in his hand. And the Brainstorm can at least give him some potential for action.
Though he doesn't have a fetch land yet, he's assuming he'll hit one here.
Goodbye Force of Will from Darwin Castle in order to turn that around on Ross.
Wow.
Darwin draws.
And let's see, Ancient Tomb Lotus Petal Show and Tell? Talk about living the dream.
The coast is clear.
Yeah.
What is he going to do?
Play a Wasteland. Put a Wasteland into play.
Land go. That's my guess. Second land for Ross.
Yep, and he wisely doesn't use that Brainstorm yet. He doesn't have to. He's going to wait till he draws a fetch land here.
I mean, or he could next turn just do it and see.
Right.
You know, the main phase brainstorm, just to push for greed. A lot of people cling to the maxim that greed is a bad call. That's usually the case unless the payoffs are so good that it's worth it. And in my experience in Legacy, the payoffs are often so good. This is not the case in most other formats. It's only generally the case in Vintage. Well, there we got a Wasteland. In Vintage and in Legacy.
Especially when this matchup is so bad for Ross.
Yeah.
Sometimes he just has to take a few risks.
Okay. Wasteland on the source. Oh, we're going to see a response. Get a fetch.
Yep, and I have to imagine this will be Intuition from Darwin.
There are 2 Intuitions in Darwin's deck. Wow. Okay.
This is interesting.
I'm not liking that.
No, me neither. Brainstorm is the type of card that's so valuable for Darwin. It's power to shuffle cards away, also just to hide cards from Ross Merriam's discard spells.
Yeah, and I mean, Darwin doesn't have any way to stop this Wasteland, so this Brainstorm is it's turning that Brainstorm into a suboptimal Brainstorm.
Right, this is like, this will probably be draw 2, put 1 back in effect. Because he'll have to untap and draw a card he doesn't particularly want. So if you're just joining us, I'm Zach Hall in the booth with Adrian Sullivan.
Hello.
And we are coming to you live, round 9 of 9, the last round of Swiss at Star City Open Worcester, Legacy portion. We're watching Darwin Castle on the left battle Ross Merriam on the right, and Darwin in the middle of resolving a Brainstorm, up a game. Wasteland on the stack, targeting Ancient Tomb right now. And Darwin finding the 2 he wants to put back.
He's going to have to draw one of them.
Right.
And Brainstorm to the yard. And then Ancient Tomb to the yard. Yeah, I was going to presume that was going to be an Intuition.
Right. That's the only thing that, to me, makes sense to cast there.
Yeah.
Darwin has other plans, though. We'll see what he has this turn. There's a City of Traders.
City of Traders.
So Ancient Tomb gets replaced. Ooh,
a Lotus Petal.
And we'll see if he has a sneak attack. There
Sneak.
it is.
I mean, when you are just trying to assemble the potential combo, there's nothing wrong with using your mana efficiently.
Right.
It's not as valuable over a long game, but a short game, it is potentially better in the next turn alone.
Yep. Definitely.
It's just 2 turns down the line, it's probably a little worse.
Basically, this play by Darwin will, in effect, have gotten him 1 card deeper into his deck with that Brainstorm. So Ross Merriam, with an end-of-turn Brainstorm, he realizes he has to find some sort of spell to deal with that sneak attack. He's trying to find a Maelstrom Pulse.
Or a Maelstrom Pulse.
Yeah, there's...
Or a Maelstrom Pulse.
Really not
times
much he
1
has.
in the deck.
Wow. Trying to find a Thoughtseize, trying to find...
I mean, I really like Krosan Grip in this archetype. It's a good sideboard card. It's very versatile.
Yeah, definitely. It's always nice to have those catch-alls in your sideboard, especially in a format as vast as Legacy, where you can play against any deck from Enchantress to Combo Elves to Counter Sliver.
Tarmogoyf, go. And now basically we're at the position, does Darwin have anything?
Yeah. Any Emrakul, any Gristlebrand will spell doom for Ross Merriam here.
I think he has it.
Yep. Here it is. Gristlebrand.
Hey!
Activate. Darwin goes to 19.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All good girls go to heaven.
And we'll see if Darwin goes to the top 8 with this win.
Now, Darwin is not guaranteed a top 8 with this.
No,
it's
not
just
at all.
Very good for him.
Yep, he'll be right in the middle of the pack at X1 and 1, and he has to hope.
And that is
Wow.
it. Darwin a quick 2-0.
And Ross Merriam shows the Flusterstorm, but that doesn't counter sneak attack when it's already in play. And that's the game. Congratulations, Darwin Castle moves to 7-1-1 in this Legacy Open.
Right.
Ross Merriam, good showing.
Oh, look at that.
7-2.
You could see on Ross Merriam's face just a real disappointment. That was, you know, what can you do? There was a slight shrug of the shoulders. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a really bad matchup.